it's been a while since between episodes. That pause wasn't accidental. I needed time to get my case papers in order and to move through this next chapter carefully. This episode picks up from there. This is the decision to file. There's a part of court that no one talks about, not the ruling, not the argument, but everything that happens before you ever walk into the room. This episode isn't about what the judge decided. It's about what it took to get there. This is the story of what happens from the day I filed till the moment I walked into the courtroom. I didn't wake up wanting to file anything. There wasn't a dramatic scene. There wasn't yelling or theatrics. There wasn't a sudden emotional explosion, but I did snap. I snapped in the moment my nervous system stopped negotiating. That moment came when my son was not returned for my court-ordered summer custody, and at that point, this wasn't miscommunication anymore. It was interference. That's when reaction turned into resolving. Filing wasn't emotional. It wasn't impulsive, and it definitely wasn't retaliatory. It was quiet. It looked like rereading court orders again and again, highlighting language I already knew by heart, checking dates, cross-referencing timelines, asking myself the same question over and over. Is this really happening, or am I overreacting? Because that's what mothers are trained to do. Second guess ourselves, downplay violations, give them one more chance. There's a narrative that's when a mother files. She's being dramatic, vindictive, high conflict. But what people don't see is the restraint that usually comes before that moment. The unanswered messages, the ignored requests, the attempts to resolve things privately, the hope that compliance will come voluntarily. If you're patient enough, calm enough, reasonable enough. I didn't file the first time an order was ignored, or the second, or even the third. I filed after the pattern became undeniable. And here's the part that mattered most. I decided to file after I realized I had seen this pattern before. The same pattern that unfolded with my middle son. The same slow shifts. The same emotional fallout. The same confusion that didn't make sense at first, until it did. I spoke about those effects in episode 2. The grief, the dissonance, the way a child's nervous system changes when pressure is applied quietly and consistently. And when I started seeing those same signs again, I understood something I couldn't ignore. This wasn't new. This was repetition. And repetition is no longer misunderstanding. It's a warning. That's when I realized something else. Court orders don't enforce themselves, and boundaries without enforcement aren't boundaries at all. At some point, continue to exhort violations is no longer patience, it's participation. And that's the moment people don't talk about. The quiet realization that compliance isn't coming voluntarily. That if you don't act, the order becomes a suggestion and the harm becomes normalized. So no, I didn't file to punish. I didn't file to provoke. I filed because enforcement became responsibility. I filed because pattern recognition is part of the protection. I filed to ask the court to enforce what already existed. Nothing more, nothing less. From July forward, I didn't disengage. I showed up. In August, I went to my son's school orientation. I arrived expecting to see him there. He wasn't. His father and stepmom were there, though. They had already gone through the orientation, already taken the school materials, already collected information before I ever arrived. I wasn't informed. I wasn't included. I was simply absent from the picture after the fact. I didn't confront anyone. I didn't make a scene. I took note. Because moments like that matter, not just legally, but emotionally. They send a message to a child about who is present and who is being quietly erased. Later, I show up to my son's summer job. The job I helped him apply for. The job I supported him in getting after his father told him he could not work during his custody time. I didn't go there to interfere. I went there as a parent, trying to remain connected. But when I arrived, there was false parameters put in place to keep me away. Boundaries that didn't exist before. Rules that weren't real. Barriers that had nothing to do with safety and everything to do with control. Again, I didn't argue. I observed. Because at that point, a pattern was forming. Access was being restricted without justification. Information was being filtered. Presence was being managed. And all of it was happening while court orders remained unchanged. Through all of this, I stayed regulated. I didn't rush to file. I didn't fire all accusations. I didn't try to force access. I documented. I waited. I watched how often my role was being minimized or rewritten. By November, the pattern wasn't subtle anymore. It was being put into writing. There was an email that month where the tone shifted. Not confusion, not disagreement, a threat. Language meant to intimidate me, to make me hesitate, to remind me of what would happen if I kept asserting my role as a parent. I didn't respond emotionally. I didn't escalate it. I saved it. Because when communication turns into coercion, there's no longer co-parenting. That's pressure. Around that same time, I made the decision to file. I filed the day I left the drive to Jacksonville, the day before my son's 17th birthday. The meeting itself was on his birthday. I didn't go to confront anyone. I didn't go to disrupt anything. I went because showing up is what parents do. I waited at the finish line. When the race ended, he saw me. He stumbled toward me, exhausted, emotional, and hugged me so tight. He left a sweat mark all down the front end of me. That hug said everything to me. I didn't need it to be put into words. It confirmed I was doing the right thing. Not out of anger, not out of retaliation, out of protection. That moment lit something inside of me, not rage, resolve. Because when a child runs to you like that, you don't question whether you should act. You already know.